On this episode of On the Mic with Mike and Moose.
I mean, I remember we moved into my house that I just sold. It was my mom's about 2 years ago. We'd never had cable before. And I remember we had 19 channels. And channel 19 was MTV.
Oh yeah.
What's up, everybody? This is your boy Moose coming to you live from Birmingham, Alabama. We're just outside of Birmingham, Alabama. Joined today with,
Mike Pickett all the way from Moore, Oklahoma. Thunder up.
and he's from the tornado capital of the world.
You better believe it. The tornadoes, I believe, are over. I don't know when you're watching this. They said our tornadoes are supposed to be over with, but you never know.
Good deal. So, Mike, we've had 3 episodes so far, and
Yeah.
kind of talking a little bit about more serious things. And one of the things that we mentioned in the first episode is how some of our content is going to be a little more on the fun side,
Oh yeah,
and but we still want to keep it through that same lens, right?
that's right.
You know,
Always
so
glorifying. Yep.
so this particular episode is about the music that we grew up on, and I know that you and I have had numerous conversations about this. I know you've mentioned it before. It was funny because the other night I shot you a text message and let you know that one of your favorite bands, artists were playing in Birmingham, and you were wondering how old they were.
Oh yeah.
And so that was the Insane Clown Posse. So
Yeah. I was a
you were a
juggalo, y'all.
juggalo, right?
I was a juggalo.
Did you have the face paint and drink Fago and everything like that?
I did drink Fago and some other things that go along with that. But and I had the different logos of they believed in a basically each one of those was a pointing to the end of the world, and I had the different emblems. My favorite was the Great Malenko. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I never listened to ICP in my life.
Good. Nope. This is a disclaimer, everyone. Do not go experiment to hear what I listen to. Please, please don't do that.
Yeah, we had a guy that I went to high school with, and he was the back in the mid to late '90s, the Ed Hardy jeans with the big balloon, the big
Oh, yeah.
parachute type jeans, and he loved it. And then our band did a haunted trail every year as one of their fundraisers,
Yeah.
and so everybody in the band had their own little booth or scene or whatever. And every year it seems like another guy, Trey and Chris, they had the clown room,
Oh yeah.
and that was what they did. Um, Me, on the other hand, so and I'll get to this in a minute, but I can still hear the drum beat to the entrance of the beautiful people, and I can sing every word of that song to you. I can hear the the ride cymbal on the beginning of the song "Blind" by Korn, and I can tell you every song or every word lyric to that. I've seen Rob Zombie live in concert multiple times, and for somebody that's where I'm at right now, it's just you just sit there and just wonder how did I, number one, where I started,
Yeah.
then where I went. You can kind of understand that, but then where I am now, these are not part. It's not part of my my listening habits these days.
Oh yeah. So you were
So
Rob Zombie. Were you a Rob Zombie movie goer too?
well, you know what, I can I can watch a lot of, I wouldn't say violent movies because I don't have a
Yeah.
or violent TV shows because I don't think stuff like The Walking Dead is very violent.
No,
It's
it's
just
not.
it's just gore, and
Yeah,
so
that's
I can handle that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But like the first time I watched The House of a Thousand Corpses, I couldn't make it through it. It was
Oh
just
wow.
so sadistic.
Yeah.
To me, it's kind of like when I was a kid, and I don't know how, as a kid, somehow I saw the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh yeah, the '70s one.
And,
Yeah.
you know, and, like, every time I see scenes from that, just the way it's shot, the graininess, and yeah, I don't think I've ever watched the whole movie, but I just get a headache. It's real funny that I guess it's I talked last time about the guttural or two couple episodes ago, I talked about the guttural feeling that I get. I get
Yeah.
a very similar feeling on that, and it's just I just don't I'm just not really into that kind of stuff. I mean, I've seen I've seen war movies.
Oh yeah.
There's some like Saving Private Ryan is hard for me to watch, but it doesn't. I don't feel the same as when I watch like a horror movie. Now I saw the Halloween remakes and stuff like that, but that was in a different time for me too.
Fun fact for you. In 1987, when Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 came out,
Hmm.
my dad dropped an 8-year-old Mike Pickett off to the movies, went and bought the ticket, gave me the ticket, and allowed me to go in and watch it by myself. In the '80s, you could get by with that. And I remember going in to watch Freddy Krueger, and I would go watch him every year after that because I love Freddy. I'm not glorifying that now, but I used to love those kind of movies growing up. But that was growing up in the '80s, y'all, early '90s. We were latchkey kids, and not saying our parents didn't care about us, but in a way they didn't.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I know that you mentioned previously about growing up in Vicksburg and then
Yeah.
being dirt poor and moving from house to house. I was a latchkey kid as well from a young age, probably 8 years old. I was coming home from school, and of course, my mom or my stepdad would get off at 4 or 5 o'clock, so it wasn't like I was spending a whole lot of time by myself. But kids at that age are curious.
Oh yeah, they are.
But as we've talked about before, I have siblings who are older than me, and the issue with that is they're step siblings, so they didn't live with us during the school year, but they were lived in New York and came down to Alabama for the summer. And so I grew up watching the Headbangers Ball and Liquid Television and Yo
Oh
MTV
yeah.
Raps. I mean, I remember we moved into my house that I just sold. It was my mom's about 2 years ago. We'd never had cable before, and I remember we had 19 channels, and channel 19 was MTV.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't realize this till I was older, and somebody kind of pointed it out to me. But Nickelodeon, all that does for kids, I don't know so much these days today, but back then, all it was just getting you ready to where you got the MTV watching age.
Oh yeah.
Um, and but actually, I was there a lot earlier than a lot of people. Probably there's probably a lot of similar experiences to mine with people who had older siblings that were 10, 11, 14, 15 when MTV was really hitting its stride in the mid 80s that watched a lot of this stuff. Um but um like I said, my siblings, they were step siblings, and they only came and saw us in the summertime. And then, as I mentioned previously, my best friend invited me to play basketball one day, and I started going to church. And it's not like I jumped, directly into listening to Christian music. Don't get me don't.
Yeah.
But we joke around about Carmen and Michael W. Smith, and I was introduced when I went first going started going to church. But when I was in high school, and I was lifting weights 4 days a week. Uh, Petra is not necessarily something that you listen to work out with. And none of the guys that I played ball with and worked out with listened to that. And I remember the first time one of them started playing Astro Creep 2000, which was the White Zombie um, album that came out in the mid 90s. And I remember saying, that guy's like a devil worshiper. It doesn't bother you. And I remember him saying, no, not really. And that was kind of like my gateway. It was an influence. I was 14 years old,
Oh yeah.
so it wasn't like I didn't know better. But I was still 14 years old. Like, you think about, Blaze. I'm not gonna say his real name, but you think about Blaze. That's with us on Discord.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's impressionable. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
And this wasn't a guy that was 10 years older than me. This was the guy that was a year older than me. And so I got into, man, I was listening to Rage Against the Machine, Corn, White Zombie, Limp Bizkit. I mean, I could still recite all the lyrics to those. That's how engulfed I was in that type of music. And I don't hate the music now, but it's just not what I'll listen to all the time.
Yeah.
I have a Sirius XM account, and 65 is channel 65 is what I listen to. That's the message.
Oh
That's
yeah.
pretty much all I listen to.
I will
So
say this with me, and I'm honest about it. And I'm not going to say I listen to Christian music 24/7 because I don't. And before you judge me, you say you're a pastor. Yo, I'm a human too. So I try my best to listen to worship a lot. But I've noticed this. If I go back to some of those songs from the 90s, 80s, it's almost like a doorway for me. And I can go back and remember what I was doing while
mhm,
I was listening to that music when it first came out. So that's what I have to watch. Like, I have to watch to make sure, like, I can listen to Biggie or Tupac, and uh, and it takes me back to what I was doing at that time, and it wasn't good stuff. And so
right,
that's one of the biggest reasons. Any of those things could be a doorway for me. Like, if I'm having a bad day, the last thing I need to do is listen to gangster rap from that time, because I'll be ready to roll up, and I don't need to. That man died,
mm,
that part of me, and he'll come knocking back on the door. But as I was thinking about it, instead of listening to Petra, you listen to Pantera.
right,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're just saying respect and walk,
Well,
that's that was workout music for me for so long.
now don't judge me. My favorite song during that time was "Freak on a Leash." I just love that
The
guitar
synthesizer,
solo right there in the middle.
yeah,
I loved it. But
yeah,
Corn, I
yeah,
love Corn, all of them.
yeah. I don't fault you for doing it because sometimes I'll be flip the radio and I'll listen to it. But I know that I'm not the same person that I was.
Oh yeah, yep,
But there are influences out there that can keep somebody who's developing their sense of, uh, I guess, becoming an adult, that it can be really detrimental to their growth,
oh yeah,
especially if they come from a spiritual family or religious family. I mean, I know people that we just went off the deep end, and you see, and I'm not saying this like in Denver, I'm going, and when I go to Denver in September, one of the things that I'm going to is I'm going to go to Littleton,
oh yeah,
and I plan on going to the memorial out there in Littleton. And of course, when that happened in April of '99, I was a junior in high school, and I was a football player. So I'm sitting here freaking out about it. But those kids were they were. I wouldn't say that like the music themselves itself is the reason they did what they did, but I think the culture surrounding it. There's a whole lot of factors that come into it.
yeah,
um, whether it's feeling like they're a loner, maybe they're a latchkey and they're looking for something and they grab onto something, and it's not necessarily, it may not be the music itself, but it may be somebody who's into that music. So, oh wait, I got a friend who I go hang out with, but that friend may not be the best influence, and blah blah blah. It just kind of snowballs on itself. And I just remember, like I said, I was a junior on April 20th of '99. Well, April 20th of 2000, a month before I graduated high school, everybody was on pins and needles.
oh yeah.
So I know you're a little bit older than I am, but no, you're
Well, I
not.
remember it, bro.
Yeah, you're not that much older than I am. So, but yeah, I mean, and it's funny because, like I said, I still, you know, I was thinking about the other night. Here's some of the concerts I've been to. I've been to Motley Crue 7 times. I've seen Alice Cooper 3 times. I've worked security for Alice Cooper. I've seen Megadeth. I've seen Metallica. I've seen Korn. I've seen Rob Zombie twice. I mean, but I've also seen the Beach Boys. I've seen a lot less benign music than that. And I'm kind of like you. I know that you have your TikToks where you do your fun nights where you're just
Yeah,
listening to whatever.
yeah.
My favorite genre of music is 70s
Oh yeah, 70s is good. Rock or what?
rock. Yeah, so like Sly Stone and Brian Wilson, 60s and 70s,
Yeah.
they've been both passing away. I mean, that was huge. Like, cause I think that both of them were innovators when it comes to music.
Oh yeah.
But when I look at as at my formative years when I was developing my sense of self, you know, I was listening to Rage Against the Machine and you know listening to a lot of the political rhetoric that comes from it. And I like I said, there are another ones I can recite most of their lyrics, but I just don't think like that anymore. And it's not that everybody has their right to think and say what they want. We're in a country where we can do that. But just because they're doing it doesn't mean that I'm with that anymore.
Yeah. I agree. And that's
So,
something we have to watch out for. Um we have to, because we have to be on guard for that mindset creeping back in
mhm,
at all times, because for me, uh that's where the enemy fights me.
mhm.
Mental gymnastics. Mental gymnastics
And I
and
just think about my daughter. My daughter knows praise music. She's 12 years old.
yeah.
That makes me happier than anything. Now she loves her Dance Monkey and she loves her Taylor Swift and she loves her secular music, but she listens to my wife sing who leads worship on Sunday mornings and knows the words to it.
Wow, that's
So,
cool.
that makes me happy.
What
So,
was your favorite concert you ever went to?
a favorite concert I ever went to. You know, this was only a few years ago, so just don't
Okay,
judge me here.
I'm
Don't
not
judge me
judging.
here. I have certain bands like I don't like going to concerts anymore,
Yeah.
but there are certain bands that I've told Jessica that if we can go see them, I would go to the concert. And so Iron Maiden was pretty sweet. I love Iron Maiden. I loved Iron Maiden for a long time. But the best sounding concert, the one that I felt that I went and heard what I heard on the CD or cassette tape or what or vinyl in the past is Rob Halford and Judas Priest. I mean,
Gotcha.
I'm sorry. That's like I look for quality in music, and a lot of people say, "Well, how can you listen to something like that?" Well, I mean, it's the names out there for the shock. Like there's not a whole lot of demonic imagery, or even imagery and stuff like that with their stuff. Um, it's just the name people get thrown off by their names a lot. So I saw them in Queensryche a few years ago, and it was good. Um, Probably after that, and believe this or not, and it wasn't the full lineup, but the Beach Boys was really good. They were really good too.
Yeah.
Mike Love still sounds like Mike Love, and they got Al Jarreau still touring with them. And Bruce Johnston, who was the guy who was hired to replace Brian Wilson because he had that falsetto. He still
Yeah.
was touring with him. This was right before COVID went, and it was a good concert. Now, Jessica and I were about. I don't know if there's anybody in there that was within 20 years of us as far as age goes, but it was a fun concert to go to. And I like fun concerts like that. I mean, I've seen Ludacris, that Buddy Guy's another good one that I've seen. Well, if you've ever seen Buddy Guy in a concert, I would suggest going to see him. Weezer's good in concert. Um, and
Ooh, wee, ooh. Sorry.
yeah, I've seen them twice. They actually did a free concert here in Birmingham, and trying to think of who the other one was that was really good that I saw in Birmingham. But it's just I've seen a lot of concerts. Not a lot of Christian concerts. Um, I think the next time I told Jessica Toby Mac and Mercy Me are coming in September. And we may end up going to that one. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That'd be good.
So
That'd be really good.
well, so tell me before we get off here. Tell me about kind of like your experience going from a juggalo and somebody who like freak on a leash to where you are today.
So I raised up in the 80s. It was country. Uh, I'm gonna love you forever. That kind of country.
From Randy Travis.
Yep. And my parents
Did
taught
you
me that.
see?
And
Did you see him at the what was it, the Grand Ole Opry 50-year anniversary or 100-year anniversary?
I did not.
So Carrie Underwood came out and sang "Forever and Ever Amen." Randy Travis had the stroke and he can barely, and so she sings the whole song. And at the very end, when it says "Forever and Ever Amen," she went down to the crowd and got him to sing it, and
Hey, man.
he was able to sing it. It was really cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. I loved him, and still do. Three Wooden Crosses has a very sentimental thing with
Yeah,
my
I like that one
mom
too.
being a prostitute. Now, that's my biological mom.
Hmm.
But very sentimental for me. Uh, yeah, I went from that Nirvana. I was a grunge, so I had that, and then I had rap, gangster rap, Juggalo, and all that kind of stuff. So what helped me, honestly, is when I went ministry because I could not continue to listen to that.
Hmm.
But I had an excuse why I could not. I had a definitive line saying, "This is what you got to do." Now, I did listen to Christian music during that time because I was in and out of church. I was a hypocrite. I mean, straight up a hypocrite. But I knew the Christian music. I knew how to sing it. I knew how to play it. All of that back then was Ray Boltz, and oh my, that's a different story for another day.
And you knew every word to the champion, right?
Yep, yep, I did. Yep, and so I knew that, and DC Talk, all of those things back then. The original Newsboys, uh,
Hmm.
the Australian complete version of them. But then I got into worship. My favorite, the person that helped me get into worship, I don't know if you ever heard of Jason Upton.
Hmm.
Jason Upton did a lot of worship in the early 2000s. Amazing worship leader. And he was past his time with what worship. So the worship we're hearing today is what he sounded like in the early 2000s. And that did not sound right to everybody else. They thought he was way, way not what he needed to be. It was
It
more,
wasn't holy enough. It was too modern, too worldly, right?
yep, yep. So, but Jason Upton was where it was for me. And then Jesus Culture came out, and I love some of that stuff then. Um, but a lot of that Hillsong United, I think everybody loved Hillsong United.
Yeah,
That was a youth pastor. So, but that's where I graduated, not graduated, but transferred from. I'm glad I did. I never liked, and this is no judgment for anybody out there. I never liked MCR and that type of music. That was for the birds. Fall Out Boy. I tried to
you don't
listen
like
to
that
it.
emo stuff?
No, I don't like the emo stuff.
Um,
I
so
love the goth. There's a difference in goth and emo. And I love I did like Marilyn Manson back in the 90s. I like that kind of stuff. But I did not like what was being produced in the early 2000s.
I got you. So we're talking about music right now. So one of the things that got me really more involved with my church and kind of put me on a path where I feel like the last 8+ years I've changed drastically was we had a prayer meeting. There was like five of them they did at church,
Hmm.
and it's funny, not in the like a funny ha ha way, more of an ironic way. That we had to have prayer meetings at church to discuss the music
Right.
because the old hats wanted to stay in the old Baptist hymnal,
Yep.
and then the newer music was kind of being, you know, they were turning their nose up to it. But now we've got, like, I think a lot of churches went to the contemporary and then the traditional services, I guess what you could say.
Yeah.
But even our traditional services these days have the same songs, the same
They
music.
do.
So I don't know if you guys had that. I know that I've watched some of your stuff online, and it
Yeah.
seems like you all are doing the same songs we do, and the same
Yeah,
songs
we do.
you listen to. I don't know if there, you told me that your church is a little older when you got there,
It
and
is.
I feel that it's amazing to me how the music that we listen to can determine the way in which a church goes. I mean, you just sit there and say, Are we here at church about the music, or are we here at church about
Yeah.
the gospel?"
When I first went to the church, it was bluegrass.
Oh, wow.
3 years ago, we had a upright bass. Um, the It was a banjo instead of a guitar, and so it
Give me
sounded
that
like
old time religion.
it sounded honestly like many times. And if the Wilsons are watching this, which I doubt they are, but if they are, it sounded good. Y'all did a great job. But it sounded like the Beverly Hillbillies opening. It
And
sound, you know what I'm saying? It and
mhm,
where we were going, and when they left on their own accord. We didn't ask them to, but they knew
mhm.
that things were shifting, and they bowed out gracefully. And so, but no, we yeah, we still do like today. We did "Blessed Assurance," Jesus. We'll put some of those things back in there
Yeah.
sometimes.
I think it's good to pepper them in every once in a while.
Yep,
So,
yep.
well, hey, I think we're coming up on time. So, you want to do the spiel for us this time?
Yeah, I smell something. You smell it?
What's that?
Smells like Teen Spirit.
I thought you were gonna say it smells like the rock is. If I could smell what the rock is cooking.
Do you smell? Speaking of Insane Clown Posse, with you being a big wrestling fan,
Yeah,
that's
they
probably
were.
where you knew them better. So,
Yeah, that is. That's my only really introduction to them.
well, guys, we want you to stay connected to us. We are on so many different platforms with this podcast. We are on YouTube, Facebook. Is it Podbean? I think that's the name of it, right?
Podbean.
Podbean, Apple. And we are excited. So when you go to look for us, you will go look for On the Mic with Mike and Moose. You'll be able to search that and find us. When you get there, you can save those podcasts to where when there's a new one, it puts it right into your playlist. On Apple, you can actually make it to where it downloads onto your phone when it's brand new. And that way you don't have to use any of your data or anything when you're out and about driving. Also, if you're part of the Rooted Discord, we're going to always put that link on there for you so you can have it. We're excited about that, and we invite everyone to be there. That's not my Discord; it's all of our Discord, and it's a great faith family, and God's grown it. I think when we began, uh, I was happy when we were about 20. I just looked a few minutes ago; we're at 321 people over there now, and God's grown it. And it's a great place for us to share our faith, and so Moose is a great part of that, and Sunny D. That's what I'm talking about. What I have, bro.
I see zero. No soda.
Yes. Yes. I've always wondered, Mountain Dew always has like this aftertaste of salt. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
How much sodium is in it? Yeah. But anyway, y'all go follow us, share it out to people. And we might do something soon where if a
We can
giveaway
do
or
something.
something,
We
we'll
might be
let
able to do something live on YouTube.
yeah, that would be cool.
We have our YouTube channel. We can do that. Everything's been verified, so
Yeah.
we can do that. So
Yeah, Mike and Moose, I'm telling you, it's going places, and I think it's gonna be bigger than Rick and Bubba.
yeah. Well, we got the Mike and Moose. So well,
Yeah.
good deal, y'all. Thanks for everything. Thanks
Yeah.
for listening. Like I said, our new episodes drop on Fridays at 10 a.m.
Friday, 10 a.m. Yeah.
And you'll get the new episodes. We'll probably do some teasers here and there.